Hello, everyone, and welcome back to part two of The Good, the Bad, the Ugly with Jess and Auddie. On today's episode of Locked On Flames, if you listen to the first episode, then you know that we're going to touch on, the good, the bad, and the ugly here on today's episode of Locked On Flames.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Flames. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you all for making Locked On your first listen of the day, or this would, I guess, technically be your second listen if you listened to the first part, but I am joined by my partner in crime, Auddie James. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I think I'm pretty good. I got to witness what was an emotional roller coaster last night in person. I was at the Dome. I can give you guys a first hand account of what that was like, but I'm doing well. I'm well right now. It's snowing in Calgary today, so it's a good day despite the fluctuation of the weather. We'll say that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that, the Flames, number one, were able to come back last night.
Oh, you and me both.
But then before we started recording, you told me you almost left the game.
Well, I don't want to say I almost, maybe that was a bit dramatic on my part. I don't think I would have actually left, but I thought about it. I'd be lying if I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
It was well, first of all, too, it was really weird. I don't know if you could tell on TV, but like the Dome was really empty for the first half of the first period, and I
Yeah.
couldn't figure out why. And then all of a sudden at the 10-minute mark, everybody came to their seats. So I had a couple buddies at the game too, and we had 4 empty seats beside us. And we had pretty decent seats. And I was like, yeah, like I got 4 seats beside me. Why don't you guys just come down and sit here?
Yeah.
And then like at the 9:15 remaining mark of the first period, everybody came down to their seats, and I couldn't for the life of me figure it out. But it was weird. It was my first sign that this wasn't going to be a normal Tuesday night at the Scotiabank Saddledome in Calgary.
Yeah, that is weird because it's not like there were any. You know what it was? The Black History Month.
Oh, yes, they had that set up. Yeah, maybe that was it.
Must
They
have been.
had that. Yeah, it was, and that was cool. And I didn't end up doing it because it looked like it was closed. But once I got in the Dome, I saw people like letting themselves in, and I was like, oh, like I thought that there would be somebody there manning the doors to go in. I wasn't just gonna walk in and do my own little thing there. But yeah, that was super cool. They had this big tractor trailer, like 2 tractor trailers set up in front of the front steps of the Dome. And obviously it was the Black History. It had all the decals on the outside, and it looked super cool. So I'm upset that I didn't let myself in like everybody else ended up doing.
I don't
But I
blame
did
you
hear
for
it was
not
cool.
doing that, though.
Yeah, it was like it just didn't feel right. Like I just didn't want to. There was
Right.
literally nobody standing outside of this tractor trailer, and I'm like, do I just let myself in, or do I err
Do
on
I
the side
wait
of
for someone?
caution? Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So I don't know. I wish I would have, though, knowing that people were allowed to go in and were allowed to let themselves in at that. So I wish I would have done it, but yeah, that's probably it. Like it was that, and the fact that they only had 2 people manning the gates at the at the entrance to the Stampede grounds for parking. So I think a lot of people showed up late because the line to park was ridiculous. But everybody found their way in, and and were able to watch the game. I think I saw a tweet from Ryan Pike from Flames Nation who said at puck drop there were, I think, 9,400 people in their seats.
So just an Ottawa Senators game.
Yeah, or a maxed out Yotes game at ASU.
Right, like,
Take your
that's
pick.
half the capacity, because the
Yeah,
dome holds what?
19
19,000
something.
or
Yeah,
something? 18? That's hmm,
it was
that's
weird. It
odd.
was so weird, and I don't want to like take this away from the rest of the episode because I know we had a lot to talk about, but it was the most bizarre thing. Hannah and I were just looking at each other like I know it's a Tuesday night in Calgary, but this should not be the turnout. And then like clockwork, everybody just appears. It was a
That's
sea. It was
so
a literal sea of red making their way to the
lived up to
seats.
their name, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, it was definitely weird, but much more to talk about in
Yeah,
that contest
no.
last night against the Kraken.
Uh, there were a lot of things that happened last night,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
the more monumental thing is, of course, John Michael Gaudreau
we love him.
hitting that 100 plus mark. Uh, obviously getting 101 assists, 101 points, excuse me. And what was that like? Because every time that kid had the puck on his stick, all I could hear, obviously from my house, from
Yeah,
the television, was the crowd going insane.
it was electric. It was unlike anything I've ever been a part of at a live sporting event, and I've been to playoff games in Calgary that weren't as loud as the
Wow.
dome was last night anytime Johnny had the puck. And you could tell it wasn't like forced, but you could tell they wanted him to get 100. Guy and Jane were there. Um, so like, you want his family flew in, they were there for it. So that everybody was anticipating it. You could tell that the people were trying to, not force it, but anytime it was a 2-on-1 or John maybe had a couple extra steps, they'd give him the puck ahead and he'd try to, come in and make something happen. Um, but it's funny, yeah, it was absolutely electric. They end up going on that. I think it was a power play goal, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. They go on that power play, and the whole time Hannah was sitting beside me and she's like, I want to record this. Like, I just want to like a raw reaction. And if you saw it on Twitter, she actually got it. They go on that power play and she's like, I think I'm gonna start recording. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Wait till they get into the ozone and then we'll, start recording and see what happens. And a little tic-tac-toe play down to Kachuk. First save was made by Drieger, and then the second attempt off his own rebound goes in, and then the place erupted. Um, a cool thing about the Saddle Dome is they have songs for every player when they score.
Yep. I
Um,
like that.
yeah, so Chucky's is the Chucky theme song from the movie, or I don't think I've seen the movie. I'm
I
assuming it's from the movie. It's like
Yeah, I would assume I
CHUCK.
don't do horror movies like that,
Yeah,
but
me neither. But it's like the CHUCK. Why don't you come out? That
yeah.
one. Anyway, so that usually would play, but they started playing Johnny Be Good instead. And
Oh.
I looked at Hannah and I was like, my goosebumps, like I've got like tears in my eyes. I looked down because where we were sitting, we were in the second bowl, but right behind Guy and Jane. Like they were right down
Oh
below
god.
us. And I looked down and they were hugging Meredith, and everybody was all, you could just see the video of Guy and how happy he
He
was
was
too.
so
Oh,
happy.
his
Like,
face.
I
And they
started
and
crying.
they showed that on the Jumbotron because there must have been somebody whose job that night was just to focus on Guy Gaudreau. And
Mhm.
you have to be catching the Gaudreaus for John's 100th point. And they started playing Johnny Be Good. And sorry, I'm just recounting it because it's
No,
just like
no,
I still
no,
get
please.
goosebumps from it because it was so cool. And they had like congratulations Johnny going around the video board like they have around the rim of
Yeah,
the
I
dome.
were they were they
What would you
replaced
call
with the
that?
ads?
Yeah, they had like a congratulations Johnny, and then they had a Johnny 100 points graphic that they put up on the Jumbotron. And yeah, the dome started chanting Johnny, Johnny,
Yeah, that
Johnny.
was clear as day.
I was trying to get the MVP chant going, but it was too electric. I was like, somebody's got to start this MVP chant, but it didn't end up happening. To make a long story short, it was incredible. It was electric. It was a lot of things, and I'm really glad that I was there. I was there to witness it too. So
Yeah, I think that that's, like, one of those moments you'll never forget, and if you have kids someday, like, you're gonna sit down and be like, "I remember when I was there for Johnny Gaudreau's 100th point back
yeah,
in my day," but
yeah.
I think one of my favorite things about, Johnny is just how family-oriented he is
Hmm.
and how involved his family is.
Oh
And
yeah,
I watched his, post-game presser with Chucky, and I hadn't noticed this before, but he had his wedding ring on,
yeah.
and I was like, "You don't normally do that."
It's
But
yeah. But you notice it with him, and it's
yes.
funny you mentioned that. I Every time they post a picture, actually they posted a picture with the puck
Mhm.
because the secondary assist on that puck or on that goal was to Anderson. So they got a picture with the three of them, and John was holding the puck, and his wedding band was on, and I'm like, oh, that's something you really notice now, hey? Like, and
Right.
he plays with it on.
I didn't know that. I
He
didn't know he
does.
played with it.
He does. If you ever
Wow.
watch an intermission interview or anything where his gloves are off and it's an intermission, okay. I'm gonna assume he does, but I doubt that he goes to his stall, puts
And
it
then
on,
just yeah,
and then
20
takes it off
minutes.
right before he puts his gloves back on. But yeah, he
That's
plays with his wedding band on. He's
old man.
very, yeah, very family oriented. I like that you bring that up too because given uh, his current Ironman streak is good for third in the NHL right now amongst active players. Would have been longer, but he did miss time to go tend to Guy, who had some cardiac issues
Yeah.
back home. So, like, just to mention, like, family comes first and family over everything. It's a true statement. He's very family oriented, and he loves his coach Guy.
He does, and he had a quote post-game too that it was like, "I know my dad's gonna tell me I didn't play my best hockey tonight," and then he'll throw in the congratulations, and I was like, "I love this kid so much," like,
I know
there's something so
oh
relatable about that it's painful.
yeah, it's funny because and like just back to Guy too, like he was the man of the hour last night.
Oh,
One of my friends, shout out to my boy Hunter Brody, is he played hockey with John growing up, and Guy coached them. So I took a picture of Guy and I said, the GOAT is in the building. And he's like, Coach Guy. Like everybody calls him coach still. Um,
I
and it's
love
just
it.
true. Like everybody loves Guy Gaudreau and the Gaudreau family and
How
Jane's
can you
fantastic as
not?
well. Yeah. Like they're so nice. They're so nice. This is turning into a Gaudreau family stan episode
Like,
opposed
please
to
just adopt us. Invite
yes,
us to the next
exactly,
family
exactly. When's
holiday.
the next cookout or when's the next, we're both, I mean, your last name a little more Italian than mine, but
Yeah.
I am Italian, contrary to popular belief. My mom is purebred Italian. So when's the next Gaudreau Italian,
Right.
like get together?
I can bring some garlic bread.
Yeah, I'll bring
Whatever
I'll
you
get
need,
my nonna's sauce recipe, and
right?
we can have a cookout with the Gaudreau's Italian style. As long as Jim's there too.
Yes, as long as Jim is there.
Uncle Jim's
Every
got to be
time I
there.
go back home, I'm so tempted to be like, "Jim, do you wanna get a beer?" But I'm like, I don't like, I'm technically media. I don't know if he wants to, like, associate with that, but, he's such a funny guy.
Oh my god, just the best. Just the best. And again, we're shifting this to to a
Yeah, now that
Gaudreau
we're done with the
family.
ass kissing, like the
Oh,
genuine ass kissing, we do have to move on.
good stuff
Oh,
though. Hey, but in a nutshell, the Gaudreau 100-point night was fantastic. It was
yeah.
a lot of fun, and I'm glad I was there.
I'm very glad you were there, and it's great to talk to someone who was there to bring that to the show and, you know, take us out of towners to the live
It's like you
moment.
were there, right? It's
Exactly.
almost like you were there. So
So coming up next, we are going to talk about, kind of the missteps that happened, but before we do that, I am going to tell you all about, this next product that I use almost every day. I started taking AG1 because I have horrible gut health. I am the queen of hot girl stomach problems. And Athletic Greens is one of those things that I'm fortunate enough to get my hands on and replace some medicine with. And they're a great supplement. And I just throw it in my water every morning, shake it up, and call it a day. But, it costs less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health. It's cheaper than your cold brew habit, which is very hard to kick. Believe me, I did it, but, it's cheaper to do this. You're investing in an all-in-one nutritional insurance, and who does not want to get rid of those stomach aches? Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. In just one scoop in your cup every day, that's it. No need for a million different pills, supplements, or whatever it takes to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1 year supplement supply of immune support vitamin D. Reading is difficult. And 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Head on over to athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
You did great. You
Thank
did
you.
great. Just to piggyback, I had a boatload of Popeyes for dinner, and not only am I going to be getting my my greens as well, because I got some, and my body will thank me because
100%.
all of the grease and not vegetables I put in myself. So
Right.
it basically balances itself out. If you
It
want
does.
to
It's
not,
just like algebra.
yeah, exactly. You're allowed to eat something not so good for you, and then drink your greens, and then you can, it's balance. It's called balance.
Exactly. It's great. What wasn't so great, though, were those first 40 minutes of
Nice
Flame
segue.
hockey. Thank you. Thank you.
It's perfect. But yes, it was not good.
I didn't realize that Markstrom gave up 3 goals on just 15 shots.
It's funny because, we didn't either. And
Yeah.
through 40, I looked up and I was like, oh my goodness, like 3 on 15. I'm like, there's a very solid chance that he does not finish this game.
Oh, 100%.
Knowing Daryl, 3 on 15, like, I don't care who you are, you're coming out of that game.
And that's like the second time that that's happened this season when it's been 2 or 3 goals allowed on very, very few shots, and especially the Donato goal. I will die on this hill that Ryan Donato is a fraud and nepotism has gotten him where he is, but it was a soft shot that just
it was stoppable. It was very much stoppable. You don't let a guy like Ryan Donato score on you.
And if you do, then you got to reevaluate.
Right, especially Seattle Kraken Ryan Donato.
Right.
Like you don't do that.
Yes.
Yeah. Different story,
Different story.
but Ryan Donato, the Seattle Kraken, that's maybe one you want to stop. Just the thought, but that's maybe one that you would like to stop. And you know what? And Victor Rask scored one too. A bunch of names I forgot were in the NHL on the Seattle Kraken as well. There, by the way, looking at that lineup, I'm like, what the heck? Like, you still play?
Right, a whole new team was out there compared to when I was insane when we first saw them this season, but we didn't see them till December. But it just was not
good.
The original Seattle Kraken.
No, it was not the handpicked from perfection team that they were that they selected. But regardless, it was a tough first 40 for Markstrom, but I don't want to hang him completely out to dry because there were a lot of things that I noticed that led to a lot of those goals. Just sloppy transitional play. The Flames group that was out there last night had a really hard time through the first 40 moving the puck from their zone into the offensive zone. They could barely get the puck out of their own end, which was frustrating. When they got to the neutral zone, the Kraken weren't even really playing a trap, but they were kind of trapping them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They couldn't get anything through the middle. They would finally get something into the offensive zone, but it wasn't very sustained. They weren't putting dangerous pressure on. They would get a couple shots or maybe a couple good looks, but nothing really high danger and nothing that really they could build off of, if that makes sense. They weren't able to create many chances with the limited time that they spent playing offense last night, which I think was frustrating to see through the first 40, especially given that this is a team that's one of the best in the league and one of the favorites to win the Stanley Cup against an expansion team who is going to be another top 3 lottery pick this year by, pretty good chance they are. So it was frustrating to say the least. What do you think? What did you see last night?
I saw a whole lot of regression. I'm talking like when they were in the bubble sort of regression. And I just was watching like through my fingers. I was like, oh no, what, like, am I sure I want to watch this?
Mhm.
Because of how bad it was. I don't know. I think it was last night. They had the too many men penalty, or it was the game
It
before,
was the game before, yeah.
which is just such a stupid penalty to take regardless. Like, know your line changes. Count.
Not
Be
only
s
that, but to piggyback on that particular one, I think it was Blake Coleman who threw the puck to the bench on a change. Like, you don't do that. That's like
Right.
the first thing they teach you in hockey
Right.
is not to throw the puck at the bench when you're changing. Like that, you're asking for too many men. Not to cut you off, but that was just
No.
something that frustrated me from that call too. Not to beat a dead horse.
Well, no, it's fair to beat it because they kind of deserve it. Like, if you're gonna play like that, I'd like just make silly fundamental mistakes this close to the playoffs, you have to nip that in the bud right now, because
Mhm.
if you do that in the playoffs against like true competitors, what are you going to do? You're going to cost yourself a game when you have guys like Coleman making those mistakes, or if you have Milan Lucic taking, granted, he has stayed off my radar recently, but taking those avoidable and unnecessary penalties.
Mhm.
Stop giving teams this man advantage. You don't
Yeah.
need to do that.
Yeah.
There's no need.
Not only that, but also the fact that and I will give them credit, they had some success later on in the game last night, but taking advantage of the man advantage. The power play hasn't been fantastic or stellar by any stretch of the imagination as of late. Looked good last night. They were able to set some stuff up. You know, not the best I've seen this power play, but definitely not the worst. But I liked your point about regression because it got me thinking last night. It brought you back to the bubble. For me, it brought me back to 2018, 2019, when this team was, they won the Western Conference, highly touted going into the playoffs, and
And
not
then what happened?
well. And then the only two people who decided to show up for any game day were Mike Smith and Sam Bennett. So it gave me flashes of that kind of playoffs. And again, I'm not like trying to be too critical or trying to find things that are, this team's still good. I'm not trying to raise
No.
any flags or sound any alarms, but you're allowed to be critical when a team, this team they should have had their way with Seattle last night, for lack of a better term.
Right. Seattle should not have scored 3 goals.
No,
Like,
three very mediocre goals. I think the one was low blocker that he should have had. You talk about the Donato goal, that was not good. They
I
weren't
couldn't.
fantastic.
But you know who was fantastic, like, truly? I think that Noah Hannafin had a great game, and yes, this is the hometown bias coming out in me because we're from, like, the same little area, but you know what? This kid has always fascinated me.
Oh,
Call him a kid, he's, like, a year younger than me,
he's,
but
I was
he's a
gonna say he's
child.
very close to our age, if
Yeah,
I'm not mistaken.
that's how I know I'm getting old.
Yeah,
Everyone's a kid.
that's it.
But he I read your tweet on yesterday's show about the level that he's playing at.
Hmm.
And he had the assist, I believe, on Chucky's first goal
He
because I
did.
thought it was him who scored.
A lot of people did too. Yeah.
But I was like,
Chucky
oh,
tipped it. Yeah, they
yeah.
actually called it Hannafin's goal, and then at the end of the first, Beasley corrected the goal. So it was Chucky's, but it was a beautiful feed, or a beautiful
Right.
shot that led to it.
And I think it's so nice to see the defense also contributing in an offensive way
Mm-hmm.
because, so they're not stuck in their own. Not that I think any of them kind of like, okay, I have to only play this because that's
Right.
not how you win games, but to not be so in their head about, okay, I can't touch the puck. I have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. No, you bring up a really good point too. And I think a lot of that has to do with the balance that Daryl Sutter put in all three D pairings.
Mhm.
The way he's constructed his defensive group. Um, for example, you look at Shillington and Tanev. Shillington has always been highly touted for his skating, his puck, the puck on his stick. He's a great stick handler. He can shoot, he can finish, he can join the rush. Whereas
Right.
Chris Tanev is the kind of guy who's going to stay back. He's going to be defensively responsible. He's not going to join the rush. He's good at moving the puck out of his own end. He's good at getting the puck up the ice, and that's about it. Well, I don't mean to say that's about it. I just mean like
But
he's very defensively responsible is what I'm trying to say.
no,
But
exactly.
all of a sudden you put a guy like that with a guy like Shillington, you have the perfect pairing in the sense that Shillington can go in and join the rush, and because that Tanev is going to be back, or the way they got their forwards playing better defense too. Somebody's
Mhm.
going to be there to cover Shillington's man or Shillington's zone if he does end up having to join the rush, right? And you look down the 3D pairings. You look at Goodbranson, Zadorov. Same thing. Zadorov has shown, as much as I poo-pooed on him to start the year, I think he's been really good and really effective in his role. Same with Goodbranson. And
Yeah.
Zadorov has, he's shown that he can, he's like 6'6" or 6'7", and he moves through the neutral zone with the puck like he's Connor McDavid, like the way he moves his feet. And I'm
Yeah.
not comparing Zadorov to
But just
McDavid,
how
but it's like,
smooth he moves,
that's
how
what I mean, and the way that nobody
effortlessly.
touches him. Nobody
Right.
touches him. He just kind of goes through. So it's like, I don't know. It's really nice to see. And then Noah's go-ahead goal last night too, we got to talk about, was ridiculous. Yeah,
So,
chef's kiss.
so good.
Um, that was really nice to see. And I want to take you back quickly here to something that I think was the spark to that third period. And it
Ooh,
it was, we saw Vladar come in, and
yes.
I want to see what you think about this too, because I was a little confused when they took the ice. I'm like, okay, there's Gaudreau, okay, there's Lindholm, there's Mangiapane, okay,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then I was like, oh, there's Dubé, there's Backlund, there's Matthew Tkachuk, okay,
yep.
and Daryl deployed a lineup of Gaudreau, Lindholm, Mangiapane on the first line, Dubé, Backlund, Tkachuk on the second line, Coleman, Yarncroke, and Toffoli on the third line, and Lucic, Lewis, and Carpenter on the fourth line, which remained pretty much what it was. Um, and the cycle was way better. They were
Mhm.
moving the puck way better. They were creating way better chances. And do I think this is going to be the game one starting lineup? Heck no. It's
No,
going to be Gaudreau, Lindholm, Kachuk. They are going to go back to that line. Don't get carried away and think that they're going to change everything.
no.
This is just temporary, but it worked. He outcoached Dave Haxtell, which isn't hard to do. He put out a
I was
different
just
lineup,
gonna
and
say I could probably do that.
and they didn't know what to do.
Yeah,
Right? You all of a sudden there's some change, and they're like, "Holy crap, what do we do?"
right.
And then look what happens. That's why I bet money on a comeback, and I ended up hitting it. Let's
Yeah.
go.
I think, you do hit on, like, a lot of good points there, and for me, watching that 3rd period, it was like I don't know what Sutter said to them in the locker room, but I will pay him to record that, so to, like, motivate me to study for finals or something, because, like, "Okay, I'll get it together, I'll clean my house, I will
Yeah.
happily cut the grass with the scissors, like, you name it, I will get it done," but, those simple tweaks were very, very effective,
Oh, huge.
and I think we can go more into that in just, like, 2 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
keep everyone holding on to the seat of their pants, whatever, edge of their seat, whatever. But you mentioned betting, and
Mm-hmm.
BetOnline will happily help you make money when you bet on the Flames. BetOnline is your number one source for all of your sports betting stats and info. Find all of the latest sports developments, league reviews, news, including this year's basketball playoffs and the start of Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for sports wagering information, from live betting to playoff, esports, and more. Should I take the under? I don't know what it is tomorrow against Vegas.
Well, I don't know what they have it set to, but
You never bet the under.
I never honestly I've never bet. Well, I have bet the under. Um, Depends on what it's set at because it's
Okay.
probably going to be high. I'd imagine for Vegas. Well, maybe not. It might be a goaltending battle. It's hard to say. Over under is a hard one for me. I'm usually a money line kind of guy.
Okay.
Money line or puck line. If you want help with that, I can help
I
you.
will
Stay
I
away from over under. I can't help you with that.
I got you. And I will message you because I am dumb when it comes to this stuff. Anything with numbers, forget it. I send it to James and I'm like, here, JJ, figure
Yeah,
it out.
that's what I do too. He's our go-to.
Right. Head to the website today and check out the latest props, odds, bets, things that I am not good at betonline.net. BetOnline, where the game starts. Before the game tomorrow, the Flames should probably put a little fuel in their tank by eating a Built Bar. Built Bars are a delicious tasting protein bar that tastes like a candy bar and have replaced my candy bar consumptions. And the Puffs are the first ever protein infused marshmallows. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy, and they're dipped in 100% real chocolate. It's kind of like heaven on earth, honestly. Like, it's just great. I keep them in my glove compartment during the winter because they're a great post or pre-gym snack, depending on where I'm coming from. They're low calorie, high in protein, and they're better for you than, like I mentioned, candy bars. And they do have a really good peanut butter one that just tastes almost as good as a Reese's peanut butter cup. I'm sorry, nothing will ever compare to a Reese's cup to me. Sorry, Built Bar. Don't take away your ad spot for that one. Go to built.com and check out their promotions for you, and that is promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off of your next order.
I got to try some of that.
Oh, they're so
Also, I love the American Canadian difference between us. Reese's.
Yeah, Reese's.
That's not a new one because I know a lot of Americans that call it Reese's.
What do you call it?
We call it Reese's.
No.
Reese's.
Reese's.
Today I had a Reese's peanut butter cup.
So you
Or actually today I got back from true story, Dairy Queen, got a Reese's Pieces cookie dough blizzard.
No, it's Reese's Pieces.
Oh. All right, we're changing the subject to talk about quickly on your over under. It is set right now on most books at 6.
Oh, that's because the Flames beat them 6-0 last time.
Probably.
I'm so smart, guys. Look at that.
I would. Well, it's usually between 5.5 and 7 is what most over unders are set towards. I think I'd take the over.
Okay.
I would probably take the over. Like that's like a 5-2 game for the Flames.
Oh, okay.
You win on that.
Oh,
5-2 win.
Right, it's combined.
Like you could probably see it going like 4-2, and then especially because Vegas is fighting for a playoff spot, they're going to pull the goalie. They're going to try to tie things up. They're either going to score or Calgary's either going to score. So I don't know. Take the over on tomorrow's game. And
did you see Quinn Hughes make an absolute clown out of Jack Eichel last night?
No.
Yes. So Quinn Hughes had the overtime winner against Vegas, and Jack Eichel went flying in the air.
Oh.
It was really funny. I'll send you the video after.
I have to look at that. Yeah, please do.
Oh my God. It was like one of the first things I saw when I woke up this morning. I was like, I don't know why I was watching this on a loop. Like, how Vegas was supposed to be good at that. Jack Eichel was supposed to be like this greatest God's gift to earth. But anyways, the Flames, they that third period, they looked good.
They looked great. Yeah, the third period that I don't know, like I said, we talked about those line combinations and it's nice because it wasn't like what we've seen before from previous coaches. I'm not going to name too many Jeff Ward, but
Oh, that man makes
the
me.
line blenders where we'd throw everybody's name in a blender and we would just
Yeah.
kind of go with what it spits out.
The
But
lack of consistency, there was no
yeah,
chemistry, nothing.
it wasn't that. It was like Daryl's backup lineup, if that makes sense. It's like he calculated. This guy knew. He's like, yeah, these guys can all play together here. We'll just save this as a just in case.
Yeah.
But it's also nice too, because the more I think about it, come playoffs, you're going to be playing the same team
Yep.
at worst 7 games. It doesn't hurt to have a backup plan if you're down in a game and you know that you can deploy an alternate lineup and
Try it
see
out.
success. They came back from a 2-goal deficit last night to win the hockey game in regulation.
Which I didn't see happening.
Not many people did.
No.
I'll tell you
I
that
once
much.
once Hannafin had the tying the equalizer, I was like, okay, like we're going to overtime. I was like, okay, whatever. Like we got this.
Yeah, it's kind of the vibe I got too.
And then Kachuk just said, no, you can all go to bed.
Yeah.
Which was nice.
Good night, besties.
Right? Like, thanks so much because I don't want to stay awake
I
anymore.
am so tired. Please send me to bed.
Right?
That was me, but I was sitting at the game. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired.
There have
My
been games I've gone to where I'm like, I need this to end.
Yeah, well,
I need
it's
this to
bad
end
because
so
it's
bad.
bad when my 9:30 bedtime thing starts coming on my phone, and I'm like,
Yep.
it's 9:29. You're set to go to bed in a minute, and I'm like, really? There's still 15 minutes left in the third period,
You're gonna have to wait.
and I
Sorry.
still got to drive home.
Right?
Like, not to
But
complain, I do love being at the dome.
right, like going to games is fun. I never realized the luxury I had of literally being 45 minutes away from TD Garden until I moved away. And now I'm like, oh, I
Yeah,
have to plan like the whole weekend and I can't
yeah.
just take a train or drive or whatever. But like you mentioned, I think it's so great that the Flames had that ability to number one come back, but then that opportunity to try out those lines.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see Daryl Sutter as someone who's going to double shift a player.
No, I don't know. It's tough because it seemed last night like John was on the ice a lot in the third period,
Yeah.
but maybe it wasn't. I don't think it was double shifting. I just think his line got a lot of time in the
Yeah.
third period.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see like basically with the way that he constructed this lineup, this alternate lineup, which in fact actually practiced today
Yep. I
as a
saw
lineup,
that.
is the balance, right? You got Dubé, who's kind of finding himself again on the second line with Backlund, who is a good shutdown guy and a good puck mover, and Kachuk, who's a good finisher and a good playmaker, right? On the second line, Gaudreau, Lindholm, Mangiapane, they speak for themselves. Coleman, Yarncroke, Toffoli, you got a way better Sean Monahan and Yarncroke on that third line. Coleman, another good shutdown guy and puck mover, and Toffoli, a guy who tucked 20 this year. It's perfectly balanced, which
It
I think I
is.
like the most about it.
It is. And I think that's nice to number one see and to have the luxury to deploy those lines. But then you finally have like a solid top nine.
Yeah.
You're not just running with the top six.
Mm-hmm.
And I really am hopeful that, the secondary scoring stays alive through the playoffs. And
And the defensive scoring.
yeah, honestly, like if we can just copy and paste that third period, just the third period to the Stanley Cup.
Well, it was also a good test, I think, too, for them in a
Yeah.
come from behind game where, now that puts them in a much better position. They win tomorrow in Vegas to the first team in the Pacific to clinch a playoff spot. I
Yeah.
just think the resilience it kind of taught them too. And, we can be down 2 goals in a third period of a game and still come back and win regulation. And I think that's important, an important mindset to bring into a playoff run that you're going to go on inevitably, especially given the longevity of their playoff run that most people are predicting, that's a good mindset to have. Like, it's just as much as we critique the game, I think there was a lot of good things too, and I think that's one of them is kind of getting in that mindset and fighting back, and it's easy to poo-poo on the first 40 minutes because it was what it was, but that third period had me. I don't know. It's had me thinking a lot more than anything else, and I don't know why. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, wow, this was really smart, or wow, this makes a whole lot of sense, or
Right.
this could prove beneficial to them down the stretch. I don't know. It's just it was an interesting game,
It
very interesting game,
absolutely
capped
was.
off by some Johnny Gaudreau and the Gaudreau family fireworks.
Ugh, I love them.
We
But
do
we
love
already
them.
did enough ass kissing in the first
Mm-hmm.
segment. But is there anything you want to add before we wrap up this wonderful episode of Locked On Flames?
Oh, just if I can leave you guys with anything till my next hit on this wonderful show, it's buckle up because things are going to get really fun here down the stretch. And if you're a Calgarian like myself, I will see you on the Red Mile and at the Red Lot very soon. This is going to be a lot of fun, folks. Buckle up. I'm sure I'll be on before playoffs start.
Yes.
Don't fret. I will definitely come back on again. We'll continue our hits. And like I said, I will live up to my end of the bargain like I haven't as of late. But
Life is busy. We
it's
get it.
busy, but we're
Okay.
getting better. And with that, we will see everybody on the Red Lot at the Red Mile. Maybe even see someone else there that might be on this show? Question mark.
Maybe working on it. I have to pick up the biggest thing I need is my original birth certificate because I'm not paying $75 for a new one. My
Yeah,
mom
hold on.
found it. So once I get that in my possession, I will be going legalizing and finalizing paperwork so I can cross the Canadian border.
Absolutely.
But
And we will welcome you with open arms on the Red Lot, the Red Mile, and all the wonderful bars on 17th Avenue
oh,
and all the
every time I
wonderful
see people
people.
pictures posting like from breweries, and I'm like, I need to go. I need to go.
Yes, you know what? I know a guy, if you want to talk about breweries in Calgary. I definitely know a guy who can help you out there.
Oh yeah, no, I've already talked to them, so hopefully we can. I'll just kind of do like a little meetup or something.
Of course, we'll make sure it happens.
100%. All right, so that's it for today's episode and today's two-for pod day here at Locked On Flames. You can find me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto. Make sure you're subscribed to the show, following the show wherever you get your podcasts. Leave a nice review, please. Just be nice. Tell me your favorite color or something. And Auddie, where can people find you?
You can find me on the Twitter Bird app as well at Auddie James, Auddie, and then James. And yeah, let's have some fun. Interact with me on there. I've been trying to engage a little bit more with everybody and put out some fun tweets. So we'll see you guys over on the Bird app then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that wraps it up for what's today? Wednesday? Today's Wednesday episode.
All day.
Yeah, right. And I will see you guys on Thursday, and we will obviously be previewing the Vegas Golden Knights game. Until then.